This is the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Our UTV 44 Comcast Game of the Week, a road trip this week for our first visit to Pensacola to check out some Florida high school football. Good evening, I'm Jim Cox. As always, my partner Dan Brennan. Tonight, Escambia High playing host to Washington High School. Escambia 3-3, Washington coming in with a record of 2-5. But Dan, what everyone is talking about, and anytime you bring up Escambia High School, Trent Richardson, their Mr. Everything, Mr. Running Back.
If you're an Alabama football fan, this is the gentleman who has agreed to play at the University of Alabama. We think, of course, signing day is not till February. He's already had 2 400-plus running games in his career at Escambia High School, including one just a few weeks ago. Last week, a real off week. He ran for 202 yards in the first half. They kind of sat him out much of the second half. This is going to be a special night for us to watch a very special player.
Yeah, really, and we were talking about this a minute ago. In all the years we've been doing this, just once in a while, we see a lot of great players and a lot of great teams, but once in a while, you really get that super elite player, and we've got him tonight.
And I think we have to go back to Jamarcus Russell when you talk in terms of how a player is rated coming out of high school by Rivals.com and Scouts.com. 5-star player, not many of them around. We'll see what he's all about tonight. So if you are especially an Alabama football fan, don't go anywhere.
Yeah, as we look at this game here tonight, too, we certainly do have heavy hearts, but with a smile on our face, because we know if the coach Cornelius Brown, who we lost earlier this week, would be here tonight on a Friday night, he'd have a big smile on his face right now.
He added so much to the broadcast. He added so much to us personally, a chance to work with him, and I just can't imagine the sense of loss that so many young men have who we coach for years and years in Pritchard and in Mobile. The state championship team from '98 from Blount High School. He left an incredible footprint on the community in which he worked, and we were really lucky to get a chance to work with Coach Brown the last couple of years here on UTV 44. It was our pleasure.
Yeah, and our thoughts are certainly with his family tonight. Kickoff coming up next between Escambia and Washington here on UTV 44 and Comcast.
Feeling a little disconnected? Then you need to visit Spectronics, your specialty electronics store.
Spectronics is your everything electronics store. Spectronics provides solutions for whole house audio, video, voice, and data networking, as well as home theater surround sound. At Spectronics, you can find the right cable for your computer or your HD TV.
Get connected at Spectronics.
An important free offer for men with balding or thinning hair.
My hair looks better than what it did when I was a teenager.
I really think he looks amazing. I mean, just look at him.
Men, no diet, no exercise program, no new set of clothes can ever improve your confidence, your good looks, and the way women look at you, the way a thick, full head of your own real hair will. And now you can have it in just 4 weeks when you call Hair Club right now. With over 500,000 success stories, Hair Club really will give you back your own head of real hair in just 4 weeks, easily, painlessly, and affordably.
I just can't believe how much better he looks. He looks so handsome now.
Life's about having fun. It's about looking good. I mean, 80% of feeling good is looking good.
Call Hair Club now and get your own head of full, thick hair in just 4 weeks. Look younger, feel more confident, put that old swagger back in your step, and put some zip back in your love life. Call Hair Club now.
I wish I'd done it years ago. I wish I had known this was an option.
The reason the majority of men go bald is because of a sensitivity to the effects of dihydrotestosterone, which speeds up the life cycle of the hair follicles, so that instead of hairs growing for 6 or 8 years, the follicles essentially get burned out.
Call now for your confidential appointment. We'll give you a free hair and scalp analysis. We'll explain what kind of hair loss you're experiencing and show you the tested and proven solutions we'll use. Remember, there are many different kinds of hair loss, and Hair Club is the only one who can offer you a customized solution based on your unique type of hair loss and expectations. Get the head of hair you want and women love in just 4 weeks. Change your life forever. Call Hair Club now.
I only wish I hadn't taken so long. That's what I'm telling you. Do it now.
Call now for our free DVD and brochure, shipped to you in a discreet plain envelope. Hair Club has the solution you want. Call now.
Call 1-800-322-9577. That's 1-800-322-9577.
Breezy night at Emmett Smith Field.
But did you say breezy? You will not get a job with the Weather Channel.
As it is a north wind here tonight.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Escambia, Amin Al-Sawadi, who kicked this one off. They do not go deep to Richardson. Instead, across the 40 and out near midfield to open things up for Escambia. The fullback, James McKee, and he's the guy who throws a lot of blocks for Trent Richardson. As we look at the Wheel 2 starting lineup up front for Escambia County, Sap Thames, along with Halford, Helton, and Patty. Receivers, Dearden has had a strong year, Moore and Tashawn Cruz. And in the backfield, Trent Richardson, Porterfield, the quarterback, and McKee at fullback. Our Wheel 2 offensive starting lineup. There you get a good look at Anthony Porterfield. We'll talk a lot about this young man tonight as well. In addition to
a lot to say about him.
They look to get it to Richardson, who slips down. They split him out the first play of the game. And we take a look at the defense for Washington, coached by Chet Bergalowski, Smith, Cook, Reeves, and Prescott. Linebackers Rogers, Tafuya, and McNeil. And the secondary, Sumler. Keep your eye on Sumler, along with Streeter, Carasquillo, and Brown. Defensively for the Washington Wildcats, who come in 2-5, 3-3 for Escambia High School. James McKee, the fullback, and Trent Richardson. We've got so much to tell you about this exciting young man. He'll take the pitch on the left side and looks to get to midfield, makes a move, and then slips out of bounds again, and we have a flag back around the 47, and then a flag gets thrown around the 34 as well late. And that's twice we've seen Richardson slip tonight on the first two plays.
Wait and see what the referees have got to say about two infractions on this play. It's it's not the first time I've seen anybody slip on this field, though, Jim. When we were down on the field doing warm-ups, a lot of kids making quick cuts, going after pass patterns that were going down. So that could be a factor tonight for sure. We might end up with some interceptions because the ball's thrown to a guy who's on his back.
So we wait for our...
Yeah, I got it. Holding there. Dead ball, personal foul there.
So at the conclusion of the play, we have the personal foul.
And I think the foul, by the way, I think McKee was involved. The fullback for Escambia was downfield blocking. And somebody got into it with him down the field. Good 10 yards down the field. But I got to tell you, Richardson opened my eyes on that very first run.
We were down there looking at this young man before the game. 5'11", 205, a commitment to Alabama. 121 carries this year, 1,207 yards. That's a 9.98 average, 16 touchdowns in 6 games. That's 16 touchdowns in 6 games. He had one game when he had the big night where he rushed for 419 yards in week 2, and he had 6 touchdowns that night. We have so much to tell you about. We'll compare him to Emmett Smith, where he's at in his career. Of course, Emmett Smith played here.
Also, Coach Nichols can help us with that comparison because he was on the staff when Emmett was here years ago.
Trying to get the spot correct as it'll bring up second down, and the clock is actually running.
We'd like to bring in natural sounds from the game. You may be hearing more than we bargained for tonight with the wind blowing, and we are actually on top of the press box here at Emmett Smith Field.
And a big north wind.
I thought they built a press box to put people inside.
2nd and 7. Here's Richardson, shifty to the left side and inside the 40 to about the 39-yard line.
Well, I've seen enough. I mean, he's got a great quickness. He's also solid as a rock.
Ranked in the top 3 in running backs in the country. You were looking at some internet sites.
Rivals and Scout ball got him way up there at 5 stars, which is not unheard of, but not many people get that many. So, they like him a lot. He's got all the, he passes the eye test, and he's got the speed, the strength, everything that you measure.
Good for a first down for the Gators, and they'll give it to him, and he'll move it down inside the 35. And Coach Bergalowski on the Washington side was just saying, he said, we'd love to try to make him stop him and make him throw the football around. He said, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep handing it to the young man until he breaks one.
Yeah, Bergalowski told us who's kidding who. You know, they've got Trent Richardson on their side, and we know he's there, obviously. These kids know him, and we play him every year.
Beat him last year.
Beat them last year, right?
Picked up 6 on the carry, and 2nd and 4. Anthony Porterfield, the senior quarterback, hands it off to Richardson up the middle, and he'll move the chains down to the 25. Porterfield, the quarterback, very impressive young man, was a tight end until Coach Nichols came back here last year and looked at this young man and said we're going to move him to quarterback. And really a special young man, a 28 on the ACT, being looked at by the service academies, Princeton, and we'll talk more about him and kind of his heritage here as well.
And a great quote from Nichols, too, we'll get to in a moment, talking about the smarts of his quarterback.
1st and 10. Here's Richardson on the right side, and he's down to about the 23. Let's get our first Winslow sideline report from Al.
How you doing, Jim? It's very windy down here tonight, and you know what? It's going to be interesting. You've seen Trent Richardson slip down a few times tonight so far. Feels a little damp, a little wet down here, and so definitely be on the lookout for that tonight. I had a chance to talk with the Wildcats coach Bergalowski. He said this team's been up and down this year. You don't know which team is going to show up tonight for the Wildcats. And talking with Coach Nichols from over here with Escambia, he said pretty much look out for Trent Richardson to the left, to the right, up the middle. It's pretty much going his way, Jim.
That's what we've seen so far, and it'll continue here with the pitch to the left, and he's got a hole, and he hurdles a defender at the 20, and now he's down to about the 11-yard line. Richardson, last week, 12 carries for 224 yards. That's an impressive game. 202 of those before halftime as our Heritage Homes instant replay.
The quick moves, he made 2 quick moves to free himself. Then he's got the power, he's got the breakaway speed. I know he's a sub 4.5 guy in the 40. All those measurables, he's got them. That's why he's rated so highly.
1st and 10. Porterfield to McKee right up the middle. The fullback gets thrown a bone for the blocks, and he's down to the 1. James McKee. It doesn't seem to be letting up much, does it, Dan, the wind?
No, I'm starting to feel some sympathy for the guy in the T-shirt and shorts we saw in the 2nd row on our way back up to the press box. I was got to check that forecast before you leave the house.
Jim Losnica has said no rain tonight here, though. It'll just be breezy. 2nd down and 1, spotted at the 2, so they can get a 1st down to the 1. Richardson looking for his 17th touchdown of the season, and the Alabama commitment has it. 17 touchdowns for Trent Richardson. And an impressive opening drive for Escambia.
Yeah, a lot of Richardson. We're going to check those stats here in a minute. Jimmy Nichols says, the guy that was on the staff when Emmett was here was the offensive coordinator years ago, and he said, you know, really strength-wise and speed, Richardson has it over what Emmett was at this time. Emmett had a lot of intangibles that just made him such a great Hall of Fame player.
And he said nobody ever hit Emmett Smith cleanly. Never had a clean hit on him. As Brown comes on and it's blocked. PAT is blocked, and that's by Daryl Sumler. We talked about him in the pregame a bit there, and he makes the block. So it's 6-0, 4 minutes into this one. We're in Pensacola tonight. Escambia on top of Washington on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Escambia on top of Washington 6-0 to start things out. 7 carries, 47 yards for Trent Richardson on the first drive. 9 plays on that drive, 8 of them they got the ball or attempted to get the ball into Richardson's hands. Parker McIntosh to kick off for Escambia, and he's got the wind behind him, and he'll send this one deep into the end zone. Hendry couldn't hold on to it, and so we'll see Washington High School and their offense coming out there. Al Sawadi along with Powell, Hamilton, Ronan, and Johnson on our wheel two starting. Stiller, Anka, the tight end, they like to get the ball to him. He's their leading receiver. Brown, a good-looking athlete at the wideout position. Frazone, the quarterback, and Rogers, Franzone, excuse me, the quarterback, and Rogers in the backfield. They are missing one of their key running backs. Easy and James out with a high ankle sprain. Inside handoff to Rogers. They'll pick up maybe a couple as we look at the Escambia High Gator defense. Elias, Bloodsworth, Daughtry, Brown, and Townsend across the front. The linebackers, Wade and Lord. And then you've got Abrams, Janovian, Grimsley back there. He's a playmaker. Smith and Johnson round out the secondary for Escambia, giving up 19 points a game. But with Richardson on the other side, helps offset some of the defensive woes you might have.
No doubt about that.
On the option, this one Franzone will keep it. He's got a first down out near the 45. Joseph Franzone, the junior quarterback, sold the belly play well, and our Heritage Homes replay. Watch him rumble out across the 45 and a first down for Washington. You get a look at Coach Bergalowski, state champions back in 1994. His first year as the head coach here, been here 15 years.
Yeah, he said when you win that state championship, it buys you a little time, you know? But he was great with us before the game, too, and offering a lot of information about his team and about the tradition at this school.
They were down 12-0 last week to Tate before coming back to get a homecoming win, 26-15. That ball comes loose at the end of the play. Almost looked like the Auburn early possession last night with advancing the fumble to pick up a first down. And inside the 45 to the 44, Dillard was the one who fell on it.
Good thing, or it would have been Trent Richardson again at midfield with great field position for the Gators. But
Washington's moved the ball here on their opening drive, started at their own 20s. You look at Franzone, the junior.
I wouldn't want to depend on the pass on a night like this. I mean, that wind is coming straight into Franzone's face right now.
Franzone will keep it again himself down to about the 40.
Lost it again.
And this time Escambia says they have it, and so do the officials. Came loose at the end of the play. Sam Johnson, I believe, was the one who recovered, and indeed it was. And a little gator chomping his way over.
Good for Sam. Looking out good for Franzone. Yep. They don't have a challenge, but if they did, you would find out that was, in fact, a fumble before the knee was down. Nice job by Johnson.
Bring out Richardson in the offense here.
Are you saying Richardson is the offense? You wouldn't be way off.
Porterfield will bring his team back out here on offense. His squad on top, 6-0. Richardson right up the middle, across midfield, hurdles another defender inside the 45 to the 43-yard line. There are Alabama fans like clapping their hands, rubbing them together, watching the TV right now.
Yeah, there's Alabama fans on our crew. All have decided to wear their Crimson Tide hats tonight, and he's giving them a show early.
Just a special young man is how he was described by Coach Nichols, and just looking at the numbers he's had this year, he had the 409. Of course, he rushed for 407 last year in the opening game against Tate.
Yeah, that became his nickname, Mr. 407.
Right. Then they had to, remonogram everything because it became Mr. 419 when he rushed for 6 touchdowns and 419 in week 2 against Milton. We'll talk about some of his other big games as well. 6:19 to go in the opening quarter. Escambia on top 6-0 on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Emmett Smith Field is where we're at. Dan Brennan, Jim Cox, Al Whedon on the sideline. Our entire UTV 44 crew here in Pensacola for our matchup this evening between Escambia and Washington. And Escambia with the 6-0 lead and the ball at the 44, the Wildcats. Play action. Porterfield looking to air it out the near side to Dearden, and he drops it just inside the 5. Had the wind at his back. If you are just joining us, I'm sure you heard the news throughout the week if you're a high school football fan about the loss of our dear friend and colleague, Coach Cornelius Brown. Tank, coach to a lot of us, and we lost him this week after some recent health struggles. And there was nothing Coach Brown enjoyed on a Friday night more than just the sights and the sounds of a high school football game. So in honor of the coach, we're just going to give you that for a few minutes here. Would love these young men as well. James McKee with a touchdown, the fullback right up the middle. And Escambia out on top by a couple of scores now.
He'd be giving a lot of love to the offensive line right now too, wouldn't he?
He sure would. And Escambia has moved the ball, and McKee so much on Richardson, and then you give it to the quick hit for the fullback right up the middle as our Heritage Homes instant replay shows. A lot of Alabama fans at Heritage Homes, and we were talking about that earlier as well. They were excited to watch this one. 12-0 PAT coming up. Escambia on top on UTV 44 and Comcast. .5:24 to go here in the first quarter. Escambia out to a quick 12-0 lead and scored the touchdown by McKee and called a timeout, Dan, as you pointed to. Want to go for two here.
The first the PAT block, so trying to get back to 14 or up to 14.
Play action again to Richardson, and Porterfield rolling out. Cuts it to the pylon, but it's going to be a flag. In the backfield, they had brought in Brandon Ellis.
Ellis with a block on the boundary that they got.
Boy, and it was after.
Yep.
It was after Porterfield had turned the corner.
Yep. This quarterback, Porterfield, 28 on his ACT, and being recruited by all the service academies. Some of the schools in the South, none of the big SEC schools, but also Princeton showing some.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat the try.
And Coach Nichols was telling us he was a tight end until he came back, he being Coach Nichols, to coach last year, immediately moved him. And he's saying that because of his athletic ability and his smarts, that a lot of schools are thinking, maybe this is a project we take a chance on.
Exactly. Get him in your program for a year, redshirt him.
Now they'll try the long PAT, and it's good.
Wow.
From 32. Tim Brown with a good strong leg, his long 47 this year, so that moves it up 13-0. And we'll let you know the folks bringing you high school football tonight as we've made the road trip down I-10 over to Pensacola here. The orthopedic group. Also, Winsel's Oyster House. Boy, it's a gumbo night right now, Danny Boy, with that wind blowing. Yeah. And Will 2, our friends Wes Williams and his crew at Will 2. Also want to thank Harbor Communications, who bring you the player of the game each week. We'll be voting on that later, and also sharing with you who won the player of the game honor last week. Heritage Homes. Stop by their location on Hannah Street here in Pensacola on Highway 29, just south of the Walmart. And UJ Chevrolet. Bud Urquhart and all of our friends out at UJ, and I want to thank them, of course, for being a part of high school football each and every week on UTV 44 and Comcast. Coach Brugolowski over there, he knows that he's seeing nothing he didn't expect out of this Escambia team.
He was pretty clear with us like he said, who's kidding who? They're going to get the ball to Richardson as often as they can.
So about the 25 goes Hendrief.
I think what you can read into that from what Coach B said to us basically was, if I had him, I would too. But he is really a special talent.
Now Washington needs to get something going here. They turned it over on their only possession thus far. They were moving the ball. They moved it from the 20 out across midfield.
They fumbled it twice. They got the first one back. The second one, not as fortunate.
Friend zone.
Yeah, running things out of the option. Tough kid.
Gives it to the tail of the tandem, Rogers. Rogers with 26 carries for a little over 100 yards this year, averaging about 4 yards a carry. And those quick backs who tries to get to that second level, and he's going to be able to outrun a lot of guys when he gets there.
I don't think you'd want to throw in this wind, and I don't know what sort of arm the friend zone has, but Escambia's safety is up further and further. They've got a lot of people near the line of scrimmage to defend the run.
Split backfield this time. Brandon Roper, make it Braden Roper checks in, and timeout called for on the Washington side. And take a look at our other games going on here tonight. Boy, a good one here in Pensacola area, Pine Forest and Niceville. Tate and Pace also battling West Florida and Pensacola. A lot of playoff. Boy, you could have some teams eliminated from playoff contention in Pensacola here tonight. Gulf Breeze and Arnold, Walton High and Pensacola Catholic, and Liberty taking on Jay High School this evening. Navarre at Choctawhatchee, Vernon at Northview. And looking over at games on our Mobile side, MGM taking on Baker, Blunt, and Williamson. Boy, winner keeps going to the playoffs. Loser of that game will have their season end next week. Bryant, who beat this Escambia County team just a couple of weeks ago, taking on Theodore tonight. That should be a good one. McGill and Baldwin County. Cullen Wacker out of this game with a pulled hamstring. Satsuma and Fairhope also trying to keep some playoff action going over there. Daphne and Robertsdale tonight. Citronelle and Spanish Fort. That game actually moved to last night, and Spanish Fort getting the win in the rain in Foley against Citronelle. Gulf Shores and Faith Academy. Escambia County and St. Paul's tonight. BC Rain and WS Neal. UMS Wright taking on Andalusian. Davidson and Murphy, your matchup tomorrow night. Franz zone, fires it on the far side to Dillard, and he's got it complete. Lost the football again. That is 3 fumbles for Washington in their first 2 possessions, and it looks like now they have lost it twice. Jonathan Dillard with his 4th catch of the year as we'll watch our Heritage Homes Instant Replay. What a great hit coming up to jar that ball loose. Anthony Abrams, he has 4 interceptions on the year, and I think the challenge flag may have been thrown on that one, Dan, to see if he had possession.
I agree with you. When it first happened in real speed, I thought certainly he had the football. Watching that replay, I'm not so sure he ever possessed it, Jim.
But what a timing lick put on by Abrams there.
Just a quick slant. Dillard's got a lot of size. Sneak it in there to him. Nice throw by Franzone, but once again, midfield for Escambia.
Escambia threatening to blow this game wide open. And Richardson hit at midfield and stopped.
Here's the bomb just to do that D, by the way. Rogers on the stop. They're going to have a lot of helmets around Richardson. He's just so dangerous one-on-one.
At this level, too, that's what's sometimes even more impressive about these elite players. Everybody knows what's going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, heck, if we know,
yeah.
Everybody knows, and he still puts up the ridiculous numbers at times.
Right. It's just really a matter of his talent, and that quickness and speed and strength, it's all there.
You know, last week, this Escambia County team beat Bay High School 54-0. Porterfield only threw it 4 times. And he was 4 for 4. Looking for his first completion tonight. Hangs this one out way too far. As back there on the coverage, Sumler again was trying to get to Dearden, who had 2 touchdown receptions last week. So 2 of the 4 throws were touchdowns from Porterfield last week.
Talking to Jimmy Nichols, and I think he was kind of kidding in a way, but what he said about Porterfield, he said 28 on the ACT, and he said The kid is so smart. He's almost too smart for this game because, heck, guys, it's only football. You always talk about you like a smart quarterback. Coach Nichols saying sometimes, and he's only been playing quarterback now 2 years, year and a half, so he may overthink things.
His dad was a wide receiver at Escambia County that Coach Nichols coached when he played here. A lot of deep roots in this Escambia County, Escambia High School community as they lose the football themselves, and Richardson picks it up as that was just trouble on the exchange.
Well, Richardson to the rescue is actually going to hurt his average there because they lose about 5 yards on that play. He'll be penalized personally for that, but actually it was a great play by Richardson to save the possession.
Big stop for Washington's defense there because this was in danger of becoming ugly.
Yeah. And on a night like this, I hesitate to say quick strikes aren't going to be in the Washington playbook.
Tim Brown to punt. Now, Hendry, number 4, back deep, ran one back 77 yards last week for a touchdown, but instead it's taken by the up man, and we'll tell you that UTV44.com is your place to go to vote for the player of the week. Any early suggestions, Dan?
Yeah, I think we had our early suggestion in most of the pregame.
As UTV44.com, your place to go and vote for the player of the week. We'll have it up at midnight tonight. You can vote throughout next week, and coming up at halftime, we will share with you the player of the week from last week's contest.
It's going to be like Castro versus the field, isn't it? I mean, Trent Richardson, I feel strongly, is going to get a lot of votes.
Franzone decides to keep this one, and pressure in the backfield. Austin Wade, the linebacker, in on the stop. You know what we need from Jim Losnick is what are the little wind gauge things you see the weather guys holding up just to see what's gusting at up here. What are you guessing?
I'm going balder by the moment. What's that? I mean, it's just ripping it right out of my head.
More bare skin exposed, also not good.
And then next week,
Franzone, he's brought down in the backfield again. This time it's Ryan Bloodsworth, defensive tackle, who comes in, and Franzone is feeling a lot of pressure from this Escambia team.
This is no lie. The wind is blowing so hard out of the north into the face of Washington County, it could affect your rush game. It could slow you up just running.
It's almost like where you can't get a new world record in the 40 with its wind aided. It's kind of the same thing in reverse here.
Yeah, huh? not tonight.
3rd and 14 for the Wildcats. And some movement in the backfield. I think Roper was the first one to jump, and that kind of started a chain reaction, and it's going to become 3rd and 19 for the Wildcats.
Both these teams pretty well coached as far as that goes in that regard, because we haven't seen a whole lot of problem with penalties so far tonight.
This Wildcat team averaging just 11 points.
Fast start on offense.
11 points per contest. And again, they struggled out of the gate last week against Tate, Dan, when we were looking at the game films, and then they rallied it around. I mean, they really turned it around. I mean, Coach was telling us about that, so we just struggled, and now he's dropped again in the backfield. Wade with the stop.
Uh-oh. Hey, we're in Pensacola. Great high school football. But may I tell you, we'd like to have high school football on every night, but can't do that, of course. So the UTV 44, your Gulf Coast Superstation's got pretty cool stuff like The Simpsons and King of the Hill. 6 p.m. for The Simpsons, King of the Hill, 6:30. I love them myself. I get a lot of my philosophies in life.
Look at Richardson standing at the 45. So into the big wind. Good kick. Richardson will have to just watch this one bound out of bounds, but great field position at the 35.
It's almost like Jim was telling a fib there, but that was a great kick. It really was. It just it was like it kicked it into a net, and down it came.
Yeah, because you're right. It got to about the 30, then all of a sudden just stopped. Tell you about who's bringing high school football tonight. Chris Myers Nissan, located over in Daphne on Highway 98. Also Spectrum Collision, one of our proud partners of the high school football game of the week. LA Body Art bring you our drive of the game each week. Music and Sound Center, our halftime show. Should have two great bands here at halftime tonight. Richardson on the right side, and he's down to about the 29. Also, Encore Rehabilitation, proud supporter of high school football as the wind picks back up. Skipper and Story Walters bring you the pregame show every week, and of course our broadcast partner, Comcast.
Is this the game where Bart Starr sneaks it in from inside the one at the very end? Is that how this one ends?
We can't give it away yet. No.
Get nippy on top of the press box.
Porterfield was going to give it to McKee. Now keeps it himself. You know, we're fortunate enough to do so many games in Mobile. Both of these coaches, when we talk to them throughout the week and then here today, not only so helpful, but then telling us as we come to the end of the quarter, saying, "Hey, anything you need, any help down the road, we'd love that. We love having y'all here."
Yeah, keep on producing Trent Richardson's. We'll be back. Right?
We're glad to be here. 13-0, it's Escambia on top of Washington on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Al Whedon on the sidelines from Pensacola tonight for a matchup between Escambia and Washington High Schools. Escambia on top 13-0. If you're just joining us, all the talk has been about Trent Richardson, number 1, the tailback for Escambia. We'll get a good look at him. Ranked one of the top running backs in the nation. Verbally committed to go to Alabama. Slips, but then accelerates down inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line.
They had a bunch backfield back there. They had an extra blocker in there, and they were all doing a job. Certainly that fullback is somebody to watch when he doesn't have the ball. You know, McKee's good with it in his hands, kind of as a diversion, but he just laid him out there on the right side of the line. Again, Washington knew pretty much what was coming, but give credit to the blocking, too.
They have had some running backs come through Pensacola here. And here's another one, and right up the middle, and he has got his 18th touchdown of the season and 2nd of the night, and that one right off left tackle and virtually untouched.
Yeah. Just look at the size of this high school senior in terms of how physical he is. Now, in this particular play, he's pretty much untouched. That's just great block. Look at the fullback all the way downfield, nailing a safety down around the 5. Again, that's great work by McKee.
He's averaging 201 yards a game coming into tonight. And Brown on for the point after to try to make it 20-0. And he does. Escambia on top behind the running of Trent Richardson. They lead Washington 20-0 here on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Escambia out to an early 20-0 lead, just underway in the second quarter. And Trent Richardson, Dan, as advertised, we said in the break, you and I were talking, not overhyped at all.
Not at all. 15 carries, 120 yards. That was just seconds more than a period of work.
Now kicking into the wind, this one at the 10 and out to about the 20 as we look at our scoring summary. Brought to you by LA Body Art. 4 plays, 34 yards, 52 seconds, 17-yard touchdown run, the 2nd of the game for Trent Richardson. Really kind of some freakish injuries his first 2 years. As a freshman, had to have surgery on his right ankle. As a sophomore, same injury, different ankle, kind of slowed him, but he's been healthy the past couple of years, and really a tremendous career in 2 years of rushing the football here.
Looks like the casts are off. He is really quick.
Franzone able to get this one off and complete, and that's Thaddeus Brown, his 7th catch of the season. Franzone now with the wind at his back, and look at our Heritage Homes instant replay.
Bergalowski talked about Brown. He said, you know, for all we know, this could be a breakout game for him. A lot of ability. They're waiting for him to really do it on the field. A lot of ability in Brown.
Now you look at the junior quarterback, probably going to be forced to put it up in the air a little bit more now.
Yeah, in this period, of course, the wind at their back, they've got a shot at actually completing a few.
I formation, and Franzone gives it to the up man, and they'll pick up maybe a couple. Is Patrick Hall in there for the carry for the Wildcats? Look at Hall. Just a sophomore running back.
Well, a lot of greats have played on this field. A lot of greats have played with these two teams. Derek Brooks, who I think is destined to be an NFL Hall of Famer, don't you think, when it's all said and done? Tampa Bay Bucks played it to Washington.
Good look at Franzone, and he's going to take a timeout here. 10:07 left in the second quarter. Wants to talk things over with his coach.
I never thought it fit my brother was guarding Pete Maravich one day story into football, but it really does apply. When you look at Richardson's stats, Jim, he's got 120 yards.
15 carries.
15 carries. That's basically through 1 quarter of work. And years ago, my brother Tom was a basketball player at the University of Georgia, was guarding Pete Maravich, and he was psyched up at the opportunity. And guess what? Inside the first 3.5 minutes of the game at LSU with the Tiger on the sideline and everything else, my brother's knees are knocking because Maravich already has 13. He's going to the line to shoot for 14. Tommy looked up at the clock and was doing some quick math and said, my God, he's going to get 220 tonight. So I don't know what Richardson's going to get, but it's going to be plenty.
It's going to be, he might get 220 tonight.
That's almost foregone conclusion.
Our UJ Chevrolet Spotlight tonight. Tell you about what's going on at UJ. Factory rebates right now up to $8,000. Interest rates as low as 0%. Nobody on the Gulf Coast sells more Chevys than UJ Chevrolet, Mobile's only pre-owned Chevy dealer. 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on those pre-owned certified cars. And, of course, that's got the 116-point. You were doubting if it really was that many. 116-point inspection.
Yeah, some go as far as 111, but I'm going to believe you.
Slipping Franzone.
The last thing they need is to find that spot on the turf that is, he's got to slide them down again, but there's a number of those places out there, especially around midfield. It did rain pretty. Franzone already, and that's not just from being tackled, but some of that dirt on there just from slipping down. It rained pretty heavy in a lot of areas last couple of days.
Not a big crown on this field either.
No, I noticed it too.
It's a very flat field as you look at Coach Bergalowski.
He's saying which team's going to show up tonight. I just think it's, at this point, Escambia really starting to crank it up with this run game. I think they'd be tough against a lot of teams right now.
Franzone on a sprint out, pressure from the backside, fires this one nearly intercepted as he was trying to come. And there's Anthony Abrams, and we said he's got 4 picks on the year and nearly had number 5 there.
You can see why, huh? They're in the zone there, and Abrams just jumps out of nowhere like a guy jumping out of the closet saying boo, and he almost had a chance to go the other way. Nice arm by Franzone.
Absolutely. He's thrown the ball well when he's had a chance, and again, we'll probably see more of that throughout the evening.
It's a tough night to come back because, again, at some point, you're going to be against the wind again, running into it.
I was talking to, I'll tell you, I was talking to Coach Nichols on the phone this week as Richardson watches this one bounce, and it's going to better get it before the wind blows it into the end zone. It'll die.
It could happen tonight.
Inside, it'll die inside the 5.
Well, Lucy, we are home on Tuesdays. Your Gulf Coast Superstation, UTV 44, heads back in time for Retro Night. Great features like The Lucy Show and Ozzie and Harriet and the Beverly Hillbillies. Just don't call them oldies in front of the in-laws. Keep the peace, y'all. Enjoy UTV 44.
I was talking with Coach Nichols this week on the phone, and we were going over the depth chart. And
some fun guy.
So, some things like that. And I said, Coach, who's back deep for you on punts? Trent. I said, how about on kick? Trent? And just kind of noticing a trend there that they really like to get the ball in that young man's hands. Now,
the Trent trend.
Now, it is on the 4. Potential highlight film run right here. And Richardson spun down just outside the 25. You literally do just almost gasp and hold your breath when he gets a few steps after he's seen the hole.
Yes, you know, and especially they are doing some great blocking on that right side, especially Jim, to give him holes. And right there, I think it's interesting that he really didn't try to wiggle to the outside. He tried to use that speed and just cut it right on straight. Nice play by the safety to bring him down, but Richardson, especially with his blocking, has got a chance to go every play.
Patty, Helton, and Halford up there on the right side doing a great job for Richardson. You know, they only start 3 seniors on offense, this Escambia squad, only 1 on defense. They're a young team.
Yeah. Jimmy Nichols coached here years ago as an assistant. He was a head man at Washington for a time. And, you know, quite frankly, they asked him if he would consider coming back a couple of years ago. And he'd been retired a number of years.
After, 32 years of coaching.
Yeah. Been away from him for a few years and still had great things to say about the young men that he coaches. And it's great to see, but he was just telling the truth. He loves his team.
2nd and 10 here as Porterfield will pitch it to Richardson on the left side, and Richardson hurdles another man at the 40. He has got that hurdle and down, and he's still on his feet to about the 43. That's the 3rd time we've seen him hurdle a defender tonight.
Yeah. I mean, successfully clean over, too. See the quick little moves. Oh, we got a flag back there, so that's going to...
This one's coming back.
Yeah.
Still a fun run to watch.
Oh, no doubt. That's what everybody was telling us, too. Oh, you can have fun watching this guy.
You know, when we were here a little earlier talking to some of the people just about Escambia and great hospitality for our crew as they got here earlier, and said, you know, one thing that they really like, the discipline and focus of this Escambia team has really been brought back.
On the offense.
Since Coach Nichols has returned to get this program, and that's you brought it up with him when we were talking before the game, when he said I want to build a program. He said, I don't want to have one great win here and a great win here. He said, I want to build a program again.
And we see that in the area that we cover more commonly over in Mobile, Baldwin County too. You can see the teams that aren't just teams, but they've got a program in place, and year after year, they're going to be somebody to contend with.
Porterfield to the near side, contact, and Dearden couldn't pull it down. He and Sumler.
You know, to have that program too, Jim, it doesn't just take a coach. It certainly takes a coaching staff. It takes a principal that understands what you're after, and it usually takes a community too to rally around you and help you. Football's an expensive game. You got to make sure that you have the necessary things, just like the band boosters, you know, raise so much money so they can have the very best band. Football needs some help from the community too to have a great program that is, you know, solid year in, year out. It seems like the stakes are getting higher, like more and more teams, programs are their goals are high.
Well, and I think a great example of that is what we're going to see in the early rounds of the playoffs in 6A in Mobile and Baldwin County.
Amazing.
Delayed handoff to Richardson, sneaks away from one tackle and hurdle again out to the 27. Got back to about the original line of scrimmage, but that'll bring on the punt team.
I've never seen it like this in Mobile and Baldwin County, the years that we've covered it. I've never seen that many really good teams that are almost interchangeable. As you watch Richardson again, see the elusiveness that he has. He's strong at contact too, but he's so athletic with his ability to get away and then to accelerate. Some guys have one and not both.
He's got them both and
the strength.
What I thought was interesting when Coach Nichols said is Brown on to punt into the big wind. This one bounces and taken at the 4, Hendrith, and he'll be driven backwards. When he was talking about Richardson, he also said that he still has tremendous upside from where he's at right now. Dan has already awarded him the player of the game, but we're going to tell you that you can go on to UTV44.com and vote tonight for who's going to be the player of the game. And, of course, we'll have the presentation at halftime tonight of our player of the game from last week in Foley's win over McGill. That 6A Region 1, Region 2 that you were talking about, Dan. Boy, you know, in years past we've seen last year it was clear-cut McGill was the top team. You know, now you can put a lot of them in a hat, shake them up, and
it really is no dominant team. But I think the reason there's no dominant team isn't just not that anything's down. I think that so many teams are pretty darn good, it's hard for anybody to dominate.
We listen in here.
You know, we talk about the great players that we've seen, and watching that Auburn game last night against West Virginia reminded me so much on a night maybe not quite as windy as this, kind of chilly in Daphne years ago.
Ball start on the offense.
You and I not even covering the game. Invited by Coach Kerry Stevenson to be on the Viger sideline.
Yep.
Watched what was a much anticipated game, and Pat White just put that game on his shoulders and legs and ran Viger out of the house that night.
That was, I think, Coach Savarese his last year at Daphne, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. He left when White left. Nice move, Sav.
Dead ball. Legal substitution on the offense.
It's kind of going awry here for Washington.
Boy, if they could just get something before the half starts, Jim, to give them, you know, something to fight for and something to think about at halftime. And they've moved it a little bit on the ground, but they've churned it over too much.
Franzone had trouble holding on to the ball, but he's been their most effective runner on the option, and him keeping it himself.
Yeah, he's tough on the corner. He can pick up a few yards.
1st and 20. Looking to set up a screen, and that's very well defended. Ryan Bloodsworth stayed at home.
Man, you talk about not being fooled at all. Those linemen were leased. It was almost like Bloodsworth and the group were in the huddle for Washington.
They agreed with the call.
They said that's a good call right there. When those linemen are going downfield to try and start throwing those downfield blocks, it's not going to matter much when you're the guy receiving the football surrounded by 4 blue shirts.
No gain on the plays. We're just past the halfway mark of the second quarter here. Two men in motion, and that's going to be a penalty. It's the inside handoff. A little backup.
Not like 2 men in motion, but different directions. You don't see that coming right at each other.
Illegal shift, so that'll continue to back Washington up.
Let's give some credit to this Escambia Gator defense, Jim. They played awfully well tonight.
On your backfield. Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty.
2nd and 30. And a timeout, so we'll take one as well. Escambia on top here on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Second and, I misspoke, it is 2nd and 25, not 2nd and 30 for Washington. Now you worry about another turnover here when you're pressure coming. Franzone rolls out and he's hit and buried. First one there was Austin Ward, and then Nico Elias comes in to finish him off.
Now you got about 3rd and 35. So maybe you were just seeing the future.
So we look at our Heritage Homes instant replay. You see Ward come in from his linebacker spot, and then Elias, just a sophomore, comes in from the outside spot. He's had a big year, had a 52-yard touchdown fumble recovery that he picked up last week.
But came out in 3 wide on the far side of the field. And Escambia just said, well, we know you're going to throw it, so we're going to bring the heat, and they got right to him. We are no doubt going to see a couple of excellent bands at halftime.
Huge numbers for each band. Remember last year the Niceville band was so impressive.
Pine Forest had a very good band, and Niceville had a tremendous band.
3rd and forever, and they fumble it at the 15 and recovered by Escambia. So now they give a short field to Escambia and another turnover. 3rd one here the first half, and Austin Wade, another sophomore, in on the loose ball. That is the Coming into tonight's game, Escambia had forced 11 turnovers. They've forced 3. 14 turnovers now they've forced going into the 7th game. You start having margins like that. If you can take control of the ball on your own side, you're going to win a lot of games.
Especially after you get the turnover, you can turn around and hand it to Trent Richardson. I mean, you talk about cashing in on the other team's mistakes. You've got the chance to do it nearly every time.
Spotted at the 16. Richardson breaks a tackle. We see the power, and now he skips away and gets to the outside and lowers the shoulder. He is not a one-dimensional running back.
No, and I'm sure that there's a lot of folks who are big Crimson Tide fans and maybe even Florida State fans with their breaths held because they're hoping that maybe that verbal can be swayed somehow, that have gone online and watched his highlights, which you can easily do now at a lot of the different sites. But he is when they put together a highlight reel of this guy, it's going to be fun to watch, and that would be just from the first half tonight, be enough.
Again, you're trying to sway the boat on the player of the game. We can
Can
tell.
you tell? Darn it.
He'll take the pitch on the left side, looks for a hole and goes in easily. His 3rd touchdown here tonight, 19 on the year. And it's 26-0 pending the PAT. Our Heritage Homes instant replay.
Downfield blocking. I mean,
how many times has he been not touched when he's had the big run too?
Yeah, Dirt and the wide receiver right there. Great job at the goal line.
Good job by Sapp and Thames on the left side as well, and Brown in for the PAT attempt. He's got a big strong leg, and he's got this one as well. 27-0 Escambia, and Trent Richardson on top of Washington here on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Trent Richardson having a big night here, as we thought, and really, no offense to Washington, but hoped he would. You wanted to see.
True.
Yeah, to see him have a big night.
No, that's why a lot of you are watching right now, and I think you're getting an eyeful for sure. I'll tell you why I'm missing Coach Brown so much right now, right after the kick here.
McIntosh will send it to Hendreath. Hendreath up the middle, and he's got some room, and now he's across the 31 man to beat. Blows by Washington. No flags. And Washington is on the board, and that was actually McIntosh that he passed. I thought it was Washington, but it was McIntosh he went by. The kicker was the last man who could have stopped him, and just like that, Washington on the board. A lot of Washingtons out there on that play.
I'll tell you one, what a run back this is, and right through the middle too, and nearly untouched. He's got the kicker to beat right here.
He just turns on the speed.
Yeah,
94 yards, his second in as many weeks. Last week it was a punt return. He went 77 yards. And now we'll see if that brings a little life and a little spark to this Washington squad.
Dangerous return guy he is. Man, didn't see that one coming.
Amin Al-Sawadi on for the point after. Straight ahead kicker. And that one no good to the near side. And 27-6, Dan, is as so much throughout the week, and tonight's game we've constantly have thoughts and reminders about our friend who passed away this week, Coach Cornelius Brown.
I mean, our colleague that would be right here with us right now, and I just would, how much would he enjoy watching everything we watched tonight, certainly including Trent Richardson and the perspective he could have brought all of us, viewers included, on what kind of a back this guy is, because he's seen so many. You know, he's seen so many, he's coached against so many, and would have loved to have gotten his take on Richardson tonight. And Coach, if you're watching up there, send us a sign. We think he's pretty good.
He also would have been talking about that great job the offensive line is doing.
Doubt.
The young offensive line up front. They start a senior, a couple of sophomores up there, and Washington trying to climb back in this one. Amin Azawawi on to kick. And they just kick it out of bounds.
That's respect for Richardson right there, huh?
Not sure that was intentional, but it was nowhere near
They didn't
Richardson.
want it near him. Hey, it's sayonara to your mama's dramas. Ditch the chicks and curl up with your transmission for some action and adventure Thursday nights or Manly Movie Nights on UTV 44. Manly Movie Nights, your Gold Coast Superstation.
Do you notice, too, they just don't even let me even come anywhere close to reading those anymore? You know, like first few games a few years ago, now they just go straight to you because they know there's what good could come.
It's like having fumble issues early in your career, and then the coach never forgets. I don't think it's fair.
Porterfield comes out to Dearden on the near side, and Wade Dearden got 5 touchdown receptions on the season, a couple last week. And we were talking about Emmett Smith, and you made the reference that Coach Nichols made about him. Well, Mike Bennett, who is the head coach over at Pensacola High School, he says that Richardson is a combination of the elusiveness of Emmett Smith, but has the elusiveness of DeMontre Carter, who's rushed for a gazillion yards over here, but the elusiveness of Emmett Smith. Looking at the 2 greatest running backs to come out of the Pensacola area.
Now, did you say elusiveness twice there?
We'll go back and throw the challenge flag. We might have to review this one. Is Carter's elusiveness and Smith's power.
Okay, yeah, and Smith, was a powerful runner. Also ran in a way where nobody got a good angle on it, but Smith had those powerful thighs, People just kind of would slide off him because he was, you were talking about Emmett Smith back in high school. Mama couldn't even find any blue jeans for him, right?
Right. And
because nothing to fit.
I remember the Coach Nichols was telling us they used to say Emmett Smith was not fast enough. He said, I never once saw him getting caught from behind.
Exactly. Even in the pros.
Never. Dearden snakes a tackle and going to pick up a first down to about the 37. They'll move the chains again with 1:49 to go as our Heritage Homes instant replay.
Tell you what, this Escambia team is playing hard. They are blocking to the whistle. They are getting after it in every way. And Richardson does up their level.
No question.
Coach Nichols talked about that. When he plays well, everybody else plays at a higher level. When does he not play well? That's the question.
Timeout called for by Escambia as they look things over with 1:49 to go. Look at we told you about the 419 yards that he had in week 2 against Milton with 6 touchdowns. His second biggest game so far, 12 carries, 224 yards last week against Bay, including 202 of those in the first half. And also he had 211 yards, 25 carries against Tate in week 1 for touchdown night. I mean, he is just a spectacular young man. And Coach Nichols there, who we got to know this week and before the game, and coaching a long time, and
he's got a lot of good things to say about this young kid too, aside from being a good football player, and that you like to hear that. And we didn't ask him, he just said it. He said, really, a fine kid. He deserves everything he gets.
Yep. And that's one thing, and we'll talk about this after the play, that I think we might forget sometimes, Dan. Nearly some movement, play action. Porterfield looking for Dearden as that one hangs up and it's incomplete. 16, 17-year-old kid in a situation like this, all the accolades, all the attention, all the people telling him how great he is and what he can do and all that. You almost forget that that's something that those young kids have to learn to manage as well.
Yeah, I mean, kids being recruited at all have got to learn the management, but this guy's at a different level. I mean, he is really, one of the premier players, according to all the those who do it for a living, scout and rivals and such, in the nation at his position. And many would say, aside from quarterback, the position of running back.
Yep. Porterfield going to pull it down. First time we've seen that tonight. A straight arm out of bounds at about the 30. And a good move by the senior to get the clock stopped.
Well, the guy's doing a nice job, Porterfield, of managing the clock here. After the kickoff that went out of bounds, they had decent field position, but they've gone right on down the field now. Obviously looking at a chance to get it again and before the half. And anytime you've got Richardson, you've got a shot.
Yeah, he's your deep threat, and he's lined up behind your quarterback.
Yeah, and don't forget, every now and then they just got to turn around and hand it to McKee, the fullback. And since they're all waiting on Richardson, he's made some big runs, including a long touchdown.
3rd and 2 for the Gators, and Richardson on the right side squirts through the hole and now squirts away at the 20, and a 30-yard touchdown for Trent Richardson.
You know, when he stops to avoid people, and then he just picks it right back up where he was. His speed, he's able to decelerate right here and then accelerate again and run right on by the linebacker. Of course, not a challenge for Richardson.
And the linebacker, Ronald McNeil, went over there and slapped him on the hand, just said, yeah, good run. You know what? Not much he can do.
Could you autograph this for my kid brother?
It's 33-6. Now McKee comes limping off.
He's had a good half, McKee. If that's the way he plays every game.
Brown on for the point after with 1:22 left here in the first half, and it's blocked again, second time tonight. It's been blocked, but still a big Escambia lead, 33-6 here on UTV 44 and Comcast.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Four touchdowns tonight for Trent Richardson, 20 carries, 202 yards. An average night for him. That's what he averages.
It's amazing. And Jimmy Nichols talking about Emmett's numbers back in the day, back in the early mid-'80s. As Coach Nichols, who was an offensive coordinator at that time, he said there were a lot of second halves. Emmett never saw the field. There wasn't any need.
Absolutely. And you see that, you know, we'll talk about this a little more in the second half with Richardson, but it's, you know, sometimes we see a back with big numbers like McCreary out in Theodore. He gets a lot of those big numbers because he's carrying the ball 30, 35 times a game. Well, that's not the case with this young man. He usually, a big night is 25 carries. I think the most he's had all season has been 27 one time.
And I think in large regard that may be because of, games that get a little lopsided, but can you imagine this guy in a game he had to have it 40 times, in a tightly contested game where he's not getting 10 yards a carry. I think he could still be pretty spectacular.
Fran zone from the shotgun here with 1:13 left. Fran zone. All the receivers defended downfield, so he takes off and he'll be brought down at 35. Good job by the DBs.
Yeah, they were all back in that prevent defense too. Fran zone, you could see him just searching the field for somebody that had a little space, and nobody did.
Now, 3 weeks ago in week 4, Alma Bryant held Richardson to 84 yards on 12 carries.
Yeah, pretty remarkable job. Won it by 2 touchdowns too.
Complete to the near side. And across midfield goes Milton Hendrith. That'll stop the clock momentarily while they reset the chains. And take a look at that last scoring drive. You see there, 1:42, 65 yards, 6 plays, and a 30-yard touchdown rush by Trent Richardson. Fran zone steps up over the middle. He's got it complete down to the 30. That was a nicely thrown ball to Justin Folks.
Yeah, and right when Fran zone let it go, he got popped. Might have been Bloodsworth that was in there on him. So he throws it with a guy about to unload on him and really fires a rope. You can see Fran zone with the wind at his back, a different looking quarterback.
And a timeout going to be taken here with 28 seconds left. Halftime show coming up, brought to you by Music and Sound Center. The Escambia Band will be out there first as we look over at Washington, looking at some of their scores. They opened the season with a win over West Florida, 28-20. They lost to Choctawhatchee, 21-20 in week 2. Then they lost to Milton, 13-12. And they went through a little bit of a rough streak. Lost to Pensacola in week 4, 28-7. Week 5, lost to Pace, 35-0. Week 6 to Pine Forest, 39-6. And then we said they were down 12-0 last week before storming back to beat Tate, 26-15.
You know, the game we did in Pensacola last year being replayed this year down in Niceville rather than in Pine Forest. Remember last year, Niceville won that game. Check the replay right here.
Folks with the reception.
Niceville wins that game last year, but was more of a veteran team.
Right.
And Pine Forest was very young. And talking to their coaching staff, they felt like they were a year away. Well, the year's here, and they're having a heck of a year.
Both teams undefeated in that matchup tonight in Niceville. This one hung up in the air and in the corner and way behind.
And nobody home.
Everyone trying to get back there. Marheem Smith.
He throws it to the flag, and the receiver is going more to the post.
And then once it got in the air, it picked up some steam as well.
Yeah.
Say hello to a lot of folks up at their hunting camps with the big north wind blowing. Everybody getting excited about deer season, watching some high school football. Get a lot of reports during the week of people watching the games at their camps on Friday night.
Feels like it now, doesn't it, guys?
This one deflected at the line of scrimmage. DeAndre Brown able to get the hand up there and knock that one away.
Franzone's not a big guy quarterback. He's a tough guy, but he's not a big guy, and you're not going to get to him. Get those hands up, and it worked that time for Brown.
Brown at that defensive end, stand-up position. 3rd and 10, 12 seconds left. Franzone looking to the far side, and that one just out of the reach of Milton Hendrith. And it'll bring up 4th down with 9 seconds left. 4th and 10 from the 31.
It's one of those stadiums you can almost feel the ghosts, can't you, Jim?
Absolutely. That's a great point.
I mean, you could just about feel the games that were played many, many years ago in this stadium that is kind of built within a bowl, a natural bowl. Really, no doubt a lot of history here.
And really a very strong community right here around the stadium. Coach Nichols was talking about, he said, I retired, I live right here in this community. I went to school here, I coached here, my kids went here.
Yep.
It really just a very strong community tie that brought him back out of retirement after 32 years of coaching.
He didn't seek it out, but he said when he was asked, it was no-brainer immediately.
And then he said, that Richardson kid's going to be a junior? Yeah.
Okay.
He said that didn't dissuade my chances in any way.
He's been everything as advertised here in the first half.
So 4th and 10 from the 31 with 9 seconds left. Four receivers and a single back there with Franzone. They dump it out of the backfield to Rogers. Now a little flip on the far side, able to get it off to Brown, and Brown's going to have the first down with 1.2 seconds left. Nicely drawn up play, nicely executed.
Yes, it was. It sure was.
So they get it to Rogers, who does a little pitch to Brown, who gets knocked out of bounds just inside the 20, so it gives him a chance to sling one into the end zone here.
It hurts that Brown is shaken up now, because he'd be one of the guys you'd want to look for in the end zone, one of the better athletes out on the boundary.
Lanky receiver.
The other guy, Jonathan Dillard, has got some height.
He'll split out folks wide, and they'll go out of the I backfield. Franzone looking in the corner, and that one's up for grabs and hauled down by Jonathan Dillard.
Talked about Dillard having some size. There's 2-on-1 over there.
Double coverage, and Dillard hauls it down. The second touchdown pass thrown this season by Franzone.
Well, they had a plan right there. Throw it up high for our tallest receiver, and
Smith and Abrams were back there.
They've got to be scratching each other's heads, wondering what the heck happened there.
How big was the 4th down play to get him a chance there with 1.2 seconds left?
And again, something for Washington now to go into the halftime with a little mo going.
Absolutely. Ayman Al-Sawawi.
Might they go for 2 here, Jim?
Looks like they'll send the big kicker back out. Gonna have to hurry. See if they get this one off in time. Al Sawadi straight ahead and no good. So 33-12 is our halftime score. Momentarily, Al Whedon will be joined by Coach Nichols. 33-12 is our halftime score, and Al has got Coach Nichols.
Down here with Coach Nichols. Coach, very impressive first half, 33 points you guys put up. I know you're not happy with that score Washington just put up there.
Well, you know, I'm pleased with what we're doing, but not satisfied. You know, we're a very young team, and we don't know how to handle success. You know, we had a lot of success, and we didn't know how to handle that. You know, we let them have a kickoff back, had one real bad series on offense, and that's just a gimme there. That should never happen. Yeah, it's a testament to our youth, you know. So we're coming, though. We're getting better every time we play, and 33-12, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I do understand that. That doesn't win a game. We do have a second half. What are you going to tell your kids when you get in the locker room there?
Well, I just want them to play like they're capable of playing, you know, and forget about the score. Let's just play these guys, you know, and see what happens. Because, you know, there's a couple of times out there we didn't play, you know.
All right, thank you, Coach. Do appreciate it. Good luck in the second half. Yes, Jim, we'll be back with more action coming up soon.
All right. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Al Whedon on the sidelines. Here at Pensacola, Escambia on top, Washington 33-12. The Trent Richardson Show. It has been, as we look at our halftime stats compiled by statistician Brian Aaron.
He's well rested after the ride over here.
Trying to ease his way out of the doghouse.
He's a great guy. These are some eye-popping stats for one individual in particular, but check it out right there.
33-12 your score. You see the first downs. Escambia there 2 for 8. Neither team slinging it around all that much. Washington going to have to probably throw it a little more. Had the nice touchdown pass right before the half there. Look at the passing yards, just 22 for Escambia, but 236 rushing yards to 33 at the half, and 202 of those belonging to Richardson. And of course, the other big stat that jumps out at you, Dan Brennan, is the 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, you cough it up 3 times. You give Richardson a couple of short fields there, too. I say Richardson, obviously, it's the team of Escambia High School. And there you get a look at Richardson, but hats off to that offensive line, too, because they have done a terrific job of blocking for Richardson, and not just the line, too. The wideouts have done a nice job. James McKee at fullback has been stellar.
Let's go get another Winslow sideline report from Al Whedon. Al.
Yeah, Jim, I had a chance to talk with Coach Bergolowski with Washington. Very disappointed in the first half, but he said basically they had a lot of opportunities. They just kind of kicked their own self with the penalties and with the not taking advantage of having the win when they switched over. So he says this third quarter, they got to come out and stick with their game plan and really try to improve things here in the second half, Jim.
Well, they'll have the ball to start. Brown will keep off.
They'll be going into the win, though, so you can scratch out that vertical passing game here for at least 12 minutes.
Angled to the far side and grabbed by Anka, the tight end, and he'll step out of bounds just across the 30 as Washington Wildcats will have it to open things up here in the second half. And of course, at the end of tonight's game, you can go to utv44.com and vote on your player of the game. Player of the game brought to you by Harbor Communications and Spectrum.
We'll come up with some candidates for you.
I'm going to throw out Richardson as a candidate if you'd like to come up with some others.
I'll tell you what, I'll throw out McKee right there, the fullback. The guy's also got a touchdown run.
Hopefully he's healthy. Kind of limped off there at the end of that half, and a big stick put on by Jonathan Grimsley. Leading tackler came up and put a big hit on, averaging 10 tackles a game for this Escambia squad. Just a junior.
Yeah, we were told to watch out for him, and the stat sheet told you one thing, but you can see the intensity he comes out with here to start the second half, and I think that's going to be important for Escambia with a big lead now. They haven't had many of those. Occasionally they'll get off and run away from somebody.
Yep. Yeah, told us before the game. They said we're getting better each week, and that's what he told Al right before the half. So we're playing better, and we got to learn to deal with success. So we have a new quarterback. Marquise Parker checks in for Washington, and a handoff out near midfield. So we see Parker come in. Parker is just a junior, much like Franzone.
We compare and contrast teams here to those that we see all the time in Mobile and Baldwin County in Alabama. And we talked about the fact that Escambia went to Bryant, lost by a couple of touchdowns. Richardson was held to under 90 yards in that game. Bryant, not one of the big powers, but tonight they're playing like it.
Playing and tied with Theodore in the third quarter, and you brought up a great point about that matchup.
Big rivalry. I mean, there's a lot of hard feelings there.
Parker puts this one on the ground, and it's quickly fallen on by the junior quarterback, and looked like a little miscommunication on whether he was supposed to give it off there to the fullback or not.
And that is really that's just a rivalry in the woods there. You know, you talk about the neighborhood rivalries, but down in the south of I-10, when Bryant plays Theodore, and Bryant's also a team that's getting better.
No question. Ronnie Cottrell, yep. And of course, you got, all those coaches down there that either went to school at one or the other, or, Coach Meredith grew up down around that area.
Also as an assistant with Ronnie Cottrell is Ivy Williams, who coached in the SEC too.
Oh boy.
I mean, he's got some quality on that staff.
They would sure like to get back to the glory days of the Hurricanes down there.
They had them.
Parker, we're going to see his arm for the first time, thrown to the near side and nearly intercepted as Marheem Smith was there. He's got a couple on the air and almost had number 3.
Yeah, this is just a tough night to throw it in that direction.
3rd down and 12 coming up for Washington.
Wind kind of comes and goes a little bit now.
I like when it goes.
Yeah, me too. And it wasn't going enough in the first half. Maybe as the front knocks its way through here, the wind won't be as much of a factor here in the second half.
I wonder if Franzone was hurt or if they're just trying to stimulate things here on offense. Franzone had the touchdown pass there right before the half. Parker will keep this one, pitches it back. Rogers going to be knocked out of bounds about the 42.
So Parker's part of the stimulation package. Is that what he is?
Yes, the offensive stimulation package.
The offense did not do too much in the first half. Obviously, you can see that from the stats. And when you consider that 6 of their 12 came from the long kickoff return.
Had the touchdown pass there.
Right at the horn, just about.
The last play of the first half. And 4th down.
He loves Franzone on the pass, so
yes,
I'm not sure exactly.
That's what I was kind of wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, he did take that big hit.
Yep.
2 passes before that.
4th down.
Yep, here we go. 4th and 4 for the Wildcats. A hard count. They try to draw the Gators off. Nothing doing. Pitch back. Rogers bobbles it and slips down. And that play just didn't have much of a chance once it was the high pitch that actually went off the helmet of Rogers.
Guess who's got a short field now? Escambia, the Gators, and Trent Richardson.
Hey, the UJ Chevrolet Spotlight. And at UJ right now, factory rebates to $8,000. Bud Urquhart, I know, watching the game tonight from UJ, wanted to get a good look at Trent Richardson. Rebates as low as 0%. Nobody on the Gulf Coast sells more Chevys than UJ Chevrolet, the only Mobile pre-owned UJ Chevy, the only pre-owned Chevy dealer. Certified pre-owned Chevy dealer on the Gulf Coast, UJ Chevrolet.
Got to get in all the things they check, too. It's a long list of them. 116.
Multi-point inspection as Richardson slides again. What I did notice when we were on the field before the game day, the grass here is cut. It's almost like a putting green.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very short.
Well, you got a burner at running back. You don't want it like a cow pasture out there. That's not going to help you at all. You are right, though. It's like running on a parking lot out there. Boy, he looks fast on this turf, doesn't he?
He looks fast.
Just fast on a wet beach.
You see some teams that think they might match up against Escambia in the playoffs. They're already telling the maintenance crew, don't mow the field, let it grow, pump the water to it.
They're going to fight off tackles, too.
This is a fun young man to watch.
Yeah, thanks again to Bud Urquhart, too, for years now for supporting what we do with high school football and that 116-point checklist that they have. So it was 115. This is an interesting story. It's about 4 weeks ago, and I met with Bud by telephone.
Right.
And said, are the blinkers involved? He said, no. I said, well, that'll put you up at 116. Then I'll check the blinkers.
That put him over the top.
And doesn't count him singularly. Blinkers, 1. That's how we got to 116. Had a good chat with Bud, of course, his son Don, a coach over at UMS. UMS still trying to jockey for a region title here tonight.
4A.
Yep.
They're in Andalusia tonight. And guess whose birthday it is tonight? Happy birthday, TC.
Terry Curtis.
Grand Poobah.
Terry Curtis, legendary Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah, and a guy that well liked by his colleagues too.
And you know what? From coaches who have been coaching for 30 years like he has,
to the pups,
to the ones who are just getting in. And play action, Porterfield sprints out, now has some time, looks downfield, and he's going to keep it. He's got the first down, still on his feet, down to about the 28. Well, it's exciting when you see a player like that and you hear a coach say the service academies are all over this young man.
28 on the ACT. That's me 3 times. So congratulations, young man. And again, he was a tight end until just last year, so this is only his 2nd full year at quarterback. He hadn't been to all the camps. They don't have a lot of film on him. He's turning around and handing it off to Richardson a lot. So he may be somebody that Jimmy Nichols was saying might be a little undervalued right now. But if you were to get him in a program, redshirt him, get him in your system.
Work with a quarterback coach, mechanics, fundamentals, and all that.
Yeah. That is if you know what your system is. Some teams don't.
You're very, very right on that.
Talking about that at halftime. Man, there's a lot of interesting things going on at the next level of college football right now, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, you know,
there's a lot to talk about.
Can fill up a lot of time with what happened last night in West Virginia. Of course, the big game Alabama has this weekend. Georgia, big tilt.
Yeah. Boy, Alabama, Tennessee. I just don't, that Tennessee team, the one thing that I've seen them a couple times this year that they just didn't seem to have a lot of, they got down. I don't know if they fought back all the way. I mean, I just didn't see that in them. I don't think Alabama's, I like their chances up there regardless of where they play that game.
Richardson hit in the backfield. And, it's just so much pressure on the coach in the SEC. You wonder, you talk about the heydays with Suge Jordan and Bear Bryant, the scrutiny that some of them would have had at different points in their careers because you have a tough loss or maybe one down, that just wasn't around back then. You wonder how many of those great coaches throughout the country maybe would have potentially lost their jobs in a year in today's environment.
Well, there was a time in the late 60s that Coach Paul Bear Bryant, there were some rumblings in Alabama, like a year or two where they just, closer to 500, and the fan base was so unused to that. And he was getting up a little bit in age, and some folks were starting to, speculate. Maybe the game's passed him by. He went to the wishbone, told Scott Hunter to stop throwing it 40 times a game, I guess. Scott, a good friend of ours, used to work on the broadcast. And met with Broyles out in Texas, got an idea how that wishbone worked, and got his quick team to perfect that, and he was a genius again. But until that, they all feel the pressure at some point, but I think today it's so magnified.
Absolutely. Now look at this. We are going to try a 45-yard field goal attempt for Tim Brown, his long. Tonight was a 32-yard PAT, and he does have the wind at his back.
Not as much wind as the first half, though.
And that one no good. Had the distance, just pulled it to the near side. Halfway through third quarter, 33-12 it remains. It was actually Parker McIntosh trying the long kick there. It's Brown on the PATs. So we'll take a timeout. 9 ticks and 6 minutes to go in the third. Still, Escambia on top. Usually, when they talk about Florida, talk about a little warmer weather.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I don't get out much, but I noticed something today. It's a lot colder in Florida. You're in Alabama, it's nice. Maybe a little rain, pretty warm. Cold over here.
A chilly night, our first real chilly night for football.
Yeah.
And we're in week 9 of
and if it's going to be a chilly night, as always, we like to be on top of the press box.
6 minutes and 9 seconds left. Parker long arms this one to the far side. It's broken up. We might have a pass interference call here as Abrams is over there with the coverage.
A little surprised by the play call, only by this, Jim, is that the wind, while it's not what it was in the first half, that is a long throw. And they're going to get a first down out of it.
So it is the pass interference call. The Gator faithful not liking that.
And maybe booing the wind chill right now. The referee that threw that flag, by the way, was not near the boundary where it happened.
Escambia, automatic first down.
Closer to the middle of the field. Well, if Washington can get something going here, if they can mount a drive, get it in the end zone, you've actually got a ball game again.
Put it at the 35 and the keeper, and we see the slip again by Parker. And I don't know if that's a, do you alter the cleats you wear on a short, on a tightly cropped field like this?
You wonder if
golf spikes.
Maybe one team's more prepared for it with their cleats than the other. I don't know, but we were talking to the coaches, and I went down 2 or 3 times, just shifting my weight.
Giving away all the secrets of what happens in the pregame chats.
Why not?
Hung up to the near side and doing a good job to come back to get this one is Brown, but can't hold on. And let's go down to Al for a Winsel's sideline report. Al.
Hey, yeah, Jim, you and Dan were talking about how the field and the condition and how slippery it is. Well, apparently they made an adjustment to Trent Richardson earlier in the game. They did switch his cleats out. So as you notice, his improvement, footwork did improve for the field tonight. But apparently on the Wildcats, they haven't quite made that adjustment because they're still slipping and sliding in this third quarter here.
Thank you, Al. And no change of footwear offered to you in the pregame, Dan.
No, I kept going down, and they just going to put it on some blooper highlight reel. Well, no one said, here's the right spikes for this surface. Yeah, Richardson, after a slip or two early.
You're right.
But we had no idea he changed cleats.
3rd and 8 here for the Wildcats. Parker has time, fires over the middle, and it's complete right at midfield. And Grimsley coming over to put the big hit on us. Folks made his 2nd catch in the night, and Grimsley was thinking not for a second about the football there.
Boy, he lays a whack on Folks right here. Watch Grimsley. Bang. He might have been. I'm not sure what Grimsley had in mind, but the collision was for real. And now you've got a first down, midfield. Booker T. Washington.
Moving the football with their change at quarterback.
Into the wind, through the air. Beating the odds.
Straight at midfield here for the Wildcats as the wind picks back up. Parker has that one tipped in the air and nearly intercepted as it went right through the hands of Doug Dice. Has a fumble recovery this year and tipped up in the air, and he saw that coming down and saw all that short grass in front of him.
Yeah, hopefully, he would have had the right spikes on him to make it down the center of the field to the end zone.
2nd and 10 coming up for the Wildcats.
Well, maybe it's simply that this guy's more the thrower. They're asking him to throw into the wind.
Hand off to Rogers, who tries a cutback, and then after picking up about 2, he's driven back to the midfield stripe. Malcolm Townsend, another one of those youngsters on defense, a junior there, making the stop. You're certainly going to lose Richardson in that offense next year, but boy, this is a good-looking young football team for Escambia County.
Yeah, I mean, 5 starters overall that are going to be lost. Now, Richardson's he's the big one. But other than that, a lot coming back, and the program kind of reinvigorated, a lot of numbers.
Parker on the pitch to Rogers, looking for the corner, dropped the shoulder, but he's bumped out of bounds by Sam Johnson. is going to be short, and they'll have to go for it on 4th down again. Went for it on 4th down their first possession here in the second half and were unsuccessful. Fourth and a long 2. Split backfield. Roper. He'll take the handoff, surge toward the 40. It'll depend on the spot. I think he's going to have it. They use the spot on the near side. I think he will have it. No, they're saying the defense came off the field and the offense came out.
Yeah, I thought that he first glance that he got it, but boy, that spot doesn't do many favors, I don't believe. UTV 44 is your Gulf Coast Superstation, stirring up prime time. Mondays it's all about drama, tears, and giggles with Ladies Night. And you see the official emblem of ladies. That's a drink that's almost spilling over with an umbrella in it. Ladies Night, Monday night, UTV 44.
You get a measurement here. Boy, they are just down there looking, and they got it.
You talk about the nose of a football.
We thought he had it from the near side, but the Escambia defense thought for sure he'd been stopped.
Good thing that football's got a big nose.
Had to get to the 40 and got just the nose of the football touching the 40.
Well, good for Washington now. They got
fresh set of downs, yeah.
Fresh set of downs. They're able to keep the ball away from Richardson, which may be the reason 88.5% of you are keeping an eye on this one tonight, we realize, but give credit to Washington for trying to make a game out of this.
Parker was 0 for 2 throwing the football this season, so had not had much experience.
Right, he maybe showed him something in practice, Jim.
On the keeper, holds it and pitches it back, and Rogers bobbling that one, and play just seemed to take a while to develop to this side, Dan.
It was, you know, the defense does a good job of stringing that thing out, and then Austin Wade really delivers a hit to Parker. So in the event that maybe Franzone is hurt, you're running the option now with Parker, and enough hits like that, you might have to figure out where do we go next.
Looking down at number 3 on the depth chart.
A lot of schools don't go that far, really. They don't want to, anyway.
You know, Grimsley limps off. He's walking gingerly over on the Escambia sideline at 2nd and 8. Play action. Now roll out. He's got a man wide open. Can he get it to him? It's Anka, the tight end. He does inside the 10. 1st and goal, but there's a flag.
Wow.
At the 36.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. It's amazing because Anka was wide open for a long time.
Illegal man downfield.
Well, see,
you were pointing at Anka as soon as he started the roll out to the left.
They never covered him, Jim, and Anka was wide open, and the young quarterback really only looking for one receiver. I don't know why it took him so long to find Anka. By the time he did, somebody had drifted downfield, an interior lineman, and wow. Had he let it go right away, there's no way you get that call because I don't think the lineman could have been downfield by
an eligible man downfield. On the offense. Repeat 2nd down.
Well, the other thing is the longer it's a game, whereas it's a competitive game, the more we get to see Trent Richardson, I think.
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking about that too. You know, they're not a team, Escambia, who's going to grind the clock down. You're going to get the football a bunch because a lot of times if he scores, it's going to be on a quick score. They're not it's just hard for any team, I would think, to hold him in for a 10, 12 play drive before he busts one.
Right. Especially the way this team's blocking tonight, too, Escambia.
2nd and 13. Parker steps up. Now he's going to take off. Has some room and down to about the 36. Nice little pickup on the junior quarterback as we approach 2 minutes to go in the 3rd. Look at Marquise Parker.
They're getting some good hits on Parker. Looks like his hand got hit there.
Marquise, no U after the Q in Marquise.
How dare they?
third.
He's getting a good education out there tonight against an Escambia defense that's been playing well.
He's helped his team move the ball.
He has.
And 3rd and 4, certainly 2-down territory here for the Wildcats. Parker holds the pitch and got it to Rogers, who's going to have another first down. Boy, he held that to the very last second. He was being wrapped up when he made the pitch back. But I think he's going to have enough to they may just be, he may just be short. He must have stepped out of bounds. Looked like he was right at the marker over there, but he is going to be just short. So 4th and about a foot here for Washington, and they're going to take a timeout. It's a big 4th down attempt for them. We'll take a break with them. 1:20 to go. Escambia still on top of Washington with a big 4th down coming up. Fourth and very, very short for Washington, trying to keep this drive going here as we wind down the 3rd quarter. On the keeper, and Parker's going to have the first down.
Nice job by the young quarterback and a real good job by the interior of that offensive line.
Got a good surge on the right side.
Well, the wind has become a breeze, and it's greatly appreciated by all of us who were not invited inside to the Emmett Smith Field press box. Real mix-up involved with that as we talked to a friend of yours who's securing his spot with his foot warmer.
Actually, he didn't need it in there.
Probably not. But the night's growing a little more comfortable here. And watch, you know, I'll tell you what, Parker actually is growing a little more comfortable at quarterback, too. Making plays, making big 3rd, 4th downs.
Patrick Hall, sophomore bruising fullback, in behind Parker, and he'll take the handoff this time and surges up to the 25.
That looks like a quarterback read there where he reads his keys, whether he's going to, you know, hand it to the fullback, take it out, and start running vertically along the line. He made the right call there. They get a good 4 yards.
Let's see, we're winding down here inside 30 seconds.
This is a good offense to have. No offense, because they're moving the ball. If you have a 33-12 lead, right? No quick strike, but at least they're showing some signs of life offensively here in the 2nd half.
Again, they go to Hall.
Excellent.
And he's going to have a first down inside the 20. They'll momentarily stop the clock. So an impressive drive here under the tutelage of the junior quarterback Parker, who came in to start the 2nd half.
Threw it a little bit early possessions, and this drive they've done it more on the ground.
We are through 3 quarters here in Pensacola. Escambia on top 33-12, but Washington in the red zone.
You're watching the UTV 44 Comcast High School Football Game of the Week.
Three quarters complete here in Pensacola. Jim Cox, Dan Brennan, Al Whedon on the sidelines. Our entire UTV 44 crew led by Jared Kihas. And Escambia driving the ball. And they have it inside the 20 and a fresh set of downs. Trying to cut into this 33-12 lead. That was the score at halftime. Escambia had the ball for a short possession. Really, the 3rd quarter was mostly Washington with the football as Parker rolls out. Now he's got some room. Makes a move at the 10, and he's going to have another first down. It's 1st and goal, Washington. Good job by Parker when he got some space there, Dan.
They had a lot of room, too. Good blocking on the perimeter. Makes a good decision. Washington trying to make a little noise here early in the 4th quarter and give us something to talk about other than Trent Richardson.
It's our Heritage Homes instant replay. Watch Parker here.
They lose containment to the outside.
Nice little move. Speaking of Heritage Homes, hey, want to say hello to Mike Hauk from Pensacola, manager for Heritage Homes over here, watching tonight's game. Thanks to him and his crew over here in Pensacola for being a part of our broadcast on our instant replays every Friday night. First and goal for Washington. Rogers cuts it back. He's inside the 5.
Thanks to everybody, by the way, here at Escambia High School who have been great to our crew.
Yep.
It's a long process to try to set things up and logistically get everything right. And
miles and miles of cables and cords that are run.
They could not have been nicer or classier than the way they treated our group, and we appreciate that a lot.
We're excited to have us come over here to Pensacola, and we're glad to make the road trip. Second and goal from the 5, and now Parker may have been audibling out. Gives it to Rogers, and down to about the 2.
Heck of a drive, isn't it?
It really is.
LA Body Art is going to be proud of this drive when we recap it for you when the time comes.
This will be the 17th play of the drive. You don't see that at any level of football very often, especially at high school, where a 17-play drive.
You always see it Auburn's first drive, and then you never see it again.
Third and goal from the 1. Gives it off to the fullback. Hall lunges, and he is on the goal line just outside of it. Boy, good second effort by Patrick Hall, because it looked like the sophomore was going to be stopped back around the 3.
Yeah, the linesman right there on that side had a clear view of it, and they've got it just short. Well, just a sophomore, that kid's pretty impressive.
This will be the 18th play of the drive.
Yeah, something to get the home fans riled up about now, try to get their defense to stop and
get a timeout.
Yeah, I think that Washington may have been worried they were going to run out of time on the play clock.
We will keep it here as 4th down. You would expect maybe, well, I don't know, they had a 4th and a similar situation earlier, and do you keep it in Parker's hand here? Do you give it off to the big fullback? 4th down will tell us, hey, the Orthopedic Group are proud to be supporters of our games each and every Friday night here on UTV 44 and Comcast, and so are our friends at Harbor Communications, bringing you the player of the game, and Heritage Homes bringing you our instant replay each and every night. UJ Chevrolet, also big supporter of high school football, and there's the Orthopedic Group. Wenzel's Oyster House had carry out from there 2 nights ago, had the seafood salad and a cup of gumbo, and was back at my house in 5 minutes. And Will, too.
The way you said that, I'm sure it was all free.
Will, too. Proud to be a supporter of high school football as well. Bob Omansky, just about as good as they come.
Yeah, great guy to deal with. Well, it's a lot of those organizations that we just talked about, too, are so good in the community.
Oh, they do things for the right reasons, which is reflected in how successful their businesses are.
I agree.
Here we go. 4th and goal from well inside the 1. Split backfields again. Parker, hard count, gives it off to Hall, and he's in for the touchdown. 18-play drive for Patrick Hall. And the touchdown makes it 33-18 with a PAT coming up here. And I think here's where you go for 2, Dan. Get it within 13. It's your 15 down here. And it looks like that's what they will do. Hall came in and played well on that drive. We talked about the change of quarterbacks, but I think the change of pace back, the big fullback, helped out as well.
Yeah, he had a lot of effective runs there. They had a lot of short yardage situations that they were successful in.
3 backs spread across now. They'll split Dillard out wide, and motion goes Rogers. Rolling out Parker, looks, fires, he's got his man, 2-point conversion. Nice play as he hit Rogers coming out of the backfield, and it's 33-20. 8 minutes to go, and now the Escambia offense hasn't been on the field for a while. We'll see what they have to answer back with 9 minutes to go. Got a 2-touchdown game with 9 minutes to go here, Danny Boy.
Chet Bergalowski's got to be proud of his team. They came out, they showed some fight here in the second half. What a drive. We'll look that thing over here statistically right after the kickoff. But man, they not only were able to keep the ball away from Escambia and Trent Richardson, but they also topped it off with a score, and they may be trying to get it again.
Yeah, here goes the onside kick attempt. Amin Al-Sawadi going to kick it the other way, and he's going to try to race after it, and I think he's got it. He didn't get it, but the Wildcats did, as it winds up being recovered by Tim Barnes. They bring everybody to the near side, and the biggest kicker we've seen in years, Al-Sawadi, races for it, slips out of his hands, but Barnes is there on our Heritage Homes instant replay. Almost a page out of the Auburn book last night.
How about that?
And now, you wonder, does the Escambia defense get a little tired? They were just out there for...
Well, I think the Escambia defense already is a little tired after that drive.
And now Washington
with the offense doesn't get tired. You know, they always talk about the defense gets tired.
Right.
The offense is out there right there with them.
And just keeping the Escambia offense off the field, and Richardson off the field as well. Parker fires it out. And incomplete on the far side. Let's take a look at that scoring drive. 18 plays, 80 yards, 9 minutes and 11 seconds.
Incredible. I mean, that is most. That was a big chunk of the third period.
And bleeding into the fourth.
A whole bunch of the fourth period. Yeah, there's only 8:44 left now.
It's been sparked by change in quarterback, Parker. They'll have to start. They're gonna have to start. They can't do another 9-minute drive here with 8:44 to go.
That math doesn't work.
That doesn't do it for them. They have to get something a little quicker.
They've got a short field though.
2nd and 10. Give it off to Rogers, who bounces to the outside, and this is a little quicker as he's going to have a first down out to about the 37.
It might have been Anka out there on the corner, the tight end. Somebody throws a great block on the edge there. That gets Rogers really running all by himself around right end.
And the play is finished off by him being knocked out of bounds, which stops the clock with 8:35 to go. Well, I really like the spark that Parker has brought to this offense.
Yeah, and I just think the line's blocking better, and I do think the Escambia defense is getting a little tired out there.
Rogers will fall to about the 35. So we're inside 8.5 to go.
So Richardson had 2:02 at the half. And I know they simply did not have the ball much in the third period or at all here in the fourth period so far.
No.
Where's he at now?
Dial that up for you here. The conclusion of this play here, and play action. Looking for Anka down the field, and he fires it into traffic, and it's nearly intercepted. Johnson was there and had it go through his hands. .223 on the ground.
Okay.
So they've held him to 21 yards in the second half, and the best way to do that is to keep him sitting down over here on the home side.
They haven't had the ball much.
This is a 3rd and 9 coming up. This Washington team next week home to take on Niceville. Niceville would be coming in still undefeated, or coming off their first loss of the year with their big matchup with Pine Forest tonight. Four receivers. Motion to the near side. It was Brown, lost the football. And a good job by Parker just to fall on it, but it's going to bring up a 4th and long here.
He saw all the trouble in front of him as he was rolling out, but he didn't even see Nico Ilias behind him, who was gaining ground real quickly.
He is one that Coach Nichols told us about always being around the ball. We'll take a timeout here with 7:24 to go, and Washington going to talk things over. Another big fourth down coming up. They converted 2 on the last drive. Got another one coming up after this. Kind of watched junior quarterback Marquise Parker grow up here this third quarter, Dan, and
yeah, I mean,
now we got another big test coming up for him here at 4th and about 13.
Wind starts to howl again all of a sudden, but it is at least to his back. He's almost assuredly going to be asked to throw it here.
2 receivers to the top of the screen. Looking out, looking for Brown, hangs it in the air, and Brown is hit immediately and got just back to the line of scrimmage. So the Escambia defense holds, and Abrams over there to make the stop. That ball maybe just in the air a little too long, didn't give Brown much chance to make something happen.
Yeah, they just tried to scheme him with that, get a guy out there, and hopefully Abrams would not get there in time, but the ball did hang in the air. It was a pretty long throw to the other sideline. Abrams is a good player, too.
Yep, really is.
He kind of answers the challenge every time.
You know, Dan, last week we had the fun of watching Foley and McGill play in Mobile, and Foley has got one of the top recruits in the state, big offensive lineman named DJ Fluker, and he is 6'6", 330 pounds, 6'7", 6'8", maybe 330, and he's just an incredible blocker. And he says he's going to Alabama, and a few years down the road on Saturdays, we'll be watching him throw blocks maybe for this young man in the backfield.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, why watch high school football on Friday nights on UTV 44 and Comcast? There's a reason for you right there. And this guy has been the real deal tonight. There's no doubt about that. What's impressed me, too, is definitely his strength and the way that it takes, kind of a village of people to get him down.
He is.
Watching him, the whole coaching staff telling us it's going to take every guy on defense to be alert, get off their blocks, and get to this guy. And it does.
Pitch on the far side and driven back, and Washington's defense
inspired
drives him back to make the stop there.
I thought I saw a nice block by McKee, but it wasn't enough.
So we're down to halfway. Tuafua, Carlos Tuafua, number 45.
Good play out there. Physical play.
And a 3rd and 10 coming up. We were talking about the big game that Richardson had. Of course, had the 407 last year. Then was even more impressive with the 419. In case you're wondering, 501 yards rushing in a game in the state of Florida is the record going back to 1985. Shaw Smith, so we have a timeout from Tampa Bay Tech, ran for 5:01 with 5:23 left here in the third quarter. They were doing, in the fourth quarter, they were doing some comparison with Richardson as to where he's at, the great seasons when DeMontre Carter had it at Pensacola High School. When he had his great seasons through 6 games, he was at 1,261 yards, and then the next week, Carter rushed for 461 yards, the second highest total ever in a win for Pensacola High School, 68-46 over Tate. He had 11 carries for 461 yards.
You've got to be kidding me. I remember he was such a big recruit for Auburn at the time, and it never really happened for him up there. I think he ended up transferring out to Troy.
Mm-hmm. We'll tell you about Emmitt Smith and where he's at in comparison to him. But first, I want to tell you about who's bringing you your chance to watch Trent Richardson here tonight, including our friends at Chris Myers Nissan on Highway 98 in Daphne. Spectrum Collision bringing you the player of the game. LA Body Art, the scoring drive. Music and Sound Center, our halftime shows. Encore Rehabilitation, also a big supporter of high school football, is 2nd and 9 coming up. Pitch to Richardson, looking for some room, and cuts it back, and he's got a first down and more as he's down near the 40-yard line.
That was a 3rd down, Jim. That was a better get it.
That was. Scoreboard was.
And they just said, almost arrogantly,
Here you go.
We'll pitch it to Richardson and watch him go. Now, get some good blocks. See that very decisive cut right there? I'd like to know what the coach would have to say about this young guy. We miss you, Coach. A lot of people do.
We approach 5 minutes left here.
Physically, he seems to be, the total package.
Without question. And like you said before, just Coach Nichols saying everything the young man has done so far and everything he has coming, he has earned it, and good for him.
Makes you miss right there.
And that 3rd down run, kind of disheartening. You can see it a little bit in the Washington defense here.
Absolutely. Because they're really thinking, hey, we've got something to play for right now. But now he gets 9 on 1st down.
And the clock becoming a factor as well. 2:47 on the ground for Richardson. Not doing anything to hurt the average here tonight.
Among our obvious candidates for player of the game,
I think Marquise Parker going to be in there as well for his performance.
Yeah, big spark.
First down here for Richardson inside 4 minutes.
He doesn't shy from contact. For a guy that has got, the speed and the moves and can cut. But when it comes down to you got to hit somebody, Richardson will do that.
Here at Emmett Smith Field, Emmett Smith had a 2,800-yard rushing season the year his team went 4 rounds into the playoffs, had the extra four games. That year through 6 games, however, Richardson is right now 344 yards ahead of that pace.
Wow. Well, Smith must have went crazy. I think I read that article. Smith went berserk down the stretch.
Really
right?
picked it up. Yeah, Emmett Smith in his last 4 games, 301, 134, 248, and 227. And then, of course, had the big playoff run. Took his team deep into the postseason. You can bet Emmett Smith's heard about the young man running on his field these days.
And you wonder how much the time Emmett spends back here in the Panhandle. We see him every week on ESPN. He's part of that pregame crew now. Winner Dancing with the Stars, right?
Yeah, yes,
he won
did.
That thing.
He did. A little dance in here for Richardson. He's knocked out of bounds. Trent Richardson. So much to talk about with this.
He listed about 205, Jim.
Yep, 5'11", 205. The other thing, he has .30 carries tonight, which puts him at 151 carries this season, 2 fumbles.
Impressive.
Right up the middle, and he's looking for another touchdown.
Wow.
And he has it, this one from 12 yards.
Shows a little emotion, too. He got tired of not seeing the ball here in the second half, the way Booker T. Washington was controlling the football. Break those tackles. And of course, that safety is just in a bad spot.
Frank Lott, Heritage Homes, went to Alabama, and he's just watched prize recruit rush for his 5th touchdown of the night here tonight.
As advertised, Jim.
Yeah, no overhype from this young man. We're going to try to get him to join us on the Friday Night Blitz. And we'll go to break. Escambia County going to move to 4-3 behind Richardson, and a big night here on UTV 44. (40-20). Trent Richardson, 30 carries, the most. He's 31 carries, the most he's had this season, 278 yards. And see Coach Jimmy Nichols, 9 yards a carry. Every play on that last scoring drive. The ball handed off to Trent Richardson at the 2. Hendry slung down now at the 25. There's that scoring drive, 8 plays, 62 yards, 12-yard touchdown. Rush completes the drive.
So Stadium's got a lot of charm to it, doesn't it? Really does. You've got the yard lines by each 10 yards painted on the wall across the way.
Got Gator grub, not just a concession stand, it's Gator grub.
Gator grub on both sides of the field.
You were sampling, as you are
generally
prone to do. Give off on the right side. Pickup of a couple as we approach 2 minutes left here. Second and call it 8 coming up, and we'll go out of the shotgun here for Parker. Wonder if he's not going to be your starting quarterback for the Wildcats next week when they take on Niceville. He pulls this one down and slips, and a late flag. Really not a lot of penalties in tonight's game.
No, I agree with that.
That's going to be a holding call.
A lot of the crowd here beginning to head off because they've seen what they're going to see of Richardson more than likely. If you need a little late night alternative, laugh more with 2.5 men, weeknights 10 and 10:30. So that's, we've done this math before, right? That's 5 in all. Thank you.
Total.
Wow, I needed help on that. Y'all believe that? It's on UTV 44, your Gulf Coast Superstation. Delighted to bring you high school football every Friday night in the fall, and we've had a blast here tonight.
You've got, boy, it's hard to believe, next week on the Alabama schedule, week 10, last week of the regular season.
Sneaks up on us, doesn't it?
And we've got the playoffs just looming
Things
around the corner.
Different here in the Panhandle in the state of Florida. They've still got a bunch of district games to play, or several anyway.
Pressure on the backside, but a nice job by Parker to elude. And now he takes a big hit at the 28. That is Sam Johnson, the safety, coming over to make the big stick.
He did not elude Sam Johnson. Watch this again, y'all.
Right between the 1 and the 7.
Yeah. Johnson comes up in support. Bang.
More actually right between the face mask and the shoulder pad, actually.
Right.
45 seconds left.
And rolling. Looks like Washington in a big hurry right now.
And they're going to take a timeout. 31 seconds left. And I think this is, I can only imagine Coach Bergalowski saying that, Coach Bergalowski saying, hey, you're not going to win the game on this play here, but we may be in this situation later in the year.
Yeah.
So
let's do it right.
Yeah,
what are
exactly.
we going to do it right? Hey, Tuesday's your Gulf Coast Superstation. UTV 44 heads back in time for Retro Night.
Lucy, we're home.
We got great features like that one right there. The Lucy Show, Ozzie and Harriet, when nobody ever did anything wrong. And the Beverly Hillbillies, when no one did math real well. Just don't call them oldies in front of the in-laws because they get offended by that. It's a lot of fun, though.
I did it once with my in-laws.
Yeah.
It didn't go over well. You've met the in-laws, and it did not go over well.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not. I could see that. They seemed a little touchy to me. Or maybe it was just uncomfortable around you. I'm not sure.
They're going to delay a game. Penalty. Continuing on, telling you who brings high school football to you each and every week. Encore Rehabilitation. Paige Plash, thanks to Paige. Talked to him yesterday. Skipper and Story Walters, our pregame show every week. And, of course, Ray Kistler, Misty Register, Eric Johnson, all of our friends over at Comcast Cable and Mobile.
That's it. Only 3 work there.
They get a lot done. Parker scrambles away, looking to get to the sticks on the near side, and he's going to pick up a first down. No quitting that young man.
No, I agree with you.
9.2 seconds left. Washington going to try to get one more play off quickly here.
Yeah, the hope is futile, but Parker continues to play hard. Talk about no quit.
And quick thinking, spikes it.
He wants to run another play.
And Escambia says, we're going to run the clock out. That's the scoreboard operator saying that, but
let's see how many seconds they put back up there.
It was at 8.5, and
yeah, they've got,
so now they've assessed a penalty of 4.5 seconds and made it 12. Should set it back to 8 seconds. Coach Jimmy Nichols, 32 years, now back for 2 weeks. Or for 2 years, he's seen all this before.
Oh, absolutely. Not much he hasn't seen.
Looking over the middle and incomplete with 3 seconds left. So with 2.7 seconds left, this will.
We're being challenged by the truck to come up with candidates for player of the game.
We have 2.
Wow.
We have 2.
Well, we come up with 3 because I think that, you know, off the bench, I feel like Parker's done a nice job for the offense for Washington.
Right.
Elias has been a nice guy on defense. And, of course, Trent Richardson, the young man who will eventually win in a landslide. As soon as the polls open.
To the near side, this one broken up, and that'll do it. Escambia 4-3 on the year with a win 40-20. Trent Richardson, huge night here tonight. And there's Jimmy Nichols. Coming up with the win, and his team improving to 4-3. They are also evening up the record in district play at 1-1 now. Washington falls to
2-6 overall.
And 0-2 in district play. And go to UTV44.com, but not now. No, can't vote yet. Midnight tonight.
You can go now if you go through Acorn. They'll let you in. Will they let you in early?
UTV44.com is your place to vote for the player of the game. Harbor Communications and Spectrum bring it to you each and every week. Trent Richardson, Nico Elias, or Marquise Parker. And let's go down to Al. He's got Jimmy Nichols.
Thank you, Jim. Down with Coach Jim Nichols. Congratulations on the win, Coach. You didn't get the ball too much in the second half. A different kind of scheme the Wildcats threw at you there.
Yeah, I tell you what, we only had it twice. We only had it 2 times. You know, I'm glad. You know, I'm glad we won. You know, we're getting better. We're getting better every week, and that's what it's about. But defensively, I'm not proud of us at all. The second half, we did not play very good defense. You know, Washington could have had something to do with that. I don't know, but you know, when your defense stays on the field for 17 minutes in the second half, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I know that onside kicks didn't go your way. Have you prepared your kids for something like that?
Yeah, we had two guys didn't line up right. That's what it was, and that's going to happen when you got young kids. But, I mean, I just don't like the way we played on defense. We got to have the ball in order to win, and we didn't get the ball the second half.
Talk about your tailback's performance tonight, Mr. Trent Richardson there.
Oh, he's special. He's a special kid, and what makes him so special is he's a good guy. He really is a good guy. He does all the things he's supposed to do. He's very courteous and very respectful, and I just wish him the best. He's special. I tell you, he's going to make history.
Big win for you tonight in the district. This sets you up pretty good for a few weeks to go up against Niceville in here.
Did Niceville win?
We haven't got word yet just on that, yes, sir. But this will be a big win for you tonight here.
Well, if Niceville beat Pine Forest and we can beat Pine Forest, then we'll go as runner-ups. We'll take it any way we can get it. But right now we got to play Catholic. That's number one on our minds right now because we got a little roll going here. We want to keep it going.
Coach, congratulations on the win. We do appreciate you having us over tonight.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Back up to you, Jim.
All right, thanks, Al. Our final score here tonight, 40-20. That's going to wrap things up there from Escambia High School. As you can see, the lighted shrubs down at the north end of the field. So thanks to Brian Aaron, our statistician up here, my partner Dan Brennan, Al Whedon down on the sidelines, and, of course, our entire UTV 44 crew led by Jared Kihos making the trip over to Pensacola and getting us all set up for our broadcast here tonight. Final score, Escambia wins at 40-20 here in Pensacola.
You're watching the